Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. It's Sunday morning. Can only mean one thing. Yes, I've got me cup of coffee. And yes, it's time for the weekly watches. Been averaging movie a day. 7 things to talk about today. I think 7's a lot more manageable. Some weeks I was getting up to 12, 14, which is too many. They're going in one side of my head and out the other, and I can't remember a thing about them when I do that. So yeah, I think 7's about a good number. Film a day. Let's crack on. Let's see what we got. First up, last Saturday night as a family, the wife, my son, and his girlfriend Katie, we all sat down. We watched Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. Now I've seen this before. First time watch for those three, I believe. I think they've kept it quiet if they have seen it before. I really like this film. It's a real nightmarish fantasy world that's just incredible. It's all about this little girl's, and I think it's Ophelia. She moves in with her mother, who is heavily pregnant, and her stepfather, who's the captain of a Spanish battalion in World War II, just after the Spanish Civil War, and they're fighting off the freedom fighters who want rid of them. And she goes and lives with the captain in his house, and he's a horrible, horrible guy. Murder, torture, you name it, he's into it. And Ophelia is trying to come to terms with this new life she's living, but at the meantime, she's also got this fantasy world going on that involves fairies, a faun, which is sort of half goat and half man type creature, and the Pale Man, which is played by Doug Jones, who you'll probably know he was the aquamphibian. Aquamphibian, not a great word for a Sunday morning. Don't know where I pulled that from. Aquamphibian in the Hellboy films and also in The Shape of Water. So he always plays a similar type of mythical creature thing. And the Pale Man is such a nightmare creature. He's got no eyes. His eyes are in his hands like that, and he goes like that to sea. And I'm just glad I'm not a kid when I watched this for the first time. Not that I'd been that young, but I could imagine this giving kids nightmares for nights on end, because the practical effects and the suits and the creatures, they're just brilliant. They're horrible. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of this. I'm sure most of you have seen it. If you've not seen it, grab a copy. Must watch. A 5-star film for me all day long. Brilliant stuff. Next up, going on a completely different tangent, I watched The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer and what's the lad's name who he terrorises? C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh, who I think is a terrific actress. I like her in anything that she's in. Really, really good. And as she's got older, she's just got better and better. But this is all about C. Thomas Howell. He's driving along one rainy night, and you can imagine these roads in America, you know what they're like. You don't see a car for hours and hours. And he picks up Rutger Hauer, who's hitchhiking, even though his mum's told him don't pick anybody up. That's where he went wrong to start with. And Hauer in this is a horrible, psychopathic character, and all hell breaks loose. For me, right up along with Roy Batty in Blade Runner, these Rutger Hauer's best roles. Absolutely fantastic, gripping drama that just doesn't relent for the whole run. Yeah, really, really good stuff. I believe I've heard rumours of a 4K coming out soon. I wouldn't mind that as an upgrade, because I've only got this DVD copy, and I don't even think it's got Blu-ray at the moment, not in this country. Anyway, yeah, really great stuff. You probably all know that one as well, The Hitcher. Amazing. Now, next up, and I think I've given those two glowing recommendations, but I reckon this is my film of the week. a new leaf. Now this is vindication for why I've got all this lot up here. My Eureka Masters of Cinema collection. I've got 200 odd titles, and a lot of them I haven't seen, but they'll come off the shelf one day. I'll give them a watch, and they're just all great, fantastic films. I've just got such a wealth and a library of awesomeness there, just waiting to be discovered by myself. And this really, really incredible. This was written and directed by Elaine May. Written, directed, and starred, by Elaine May, that lady there. What this is about, Walter Matthau. Is it Walter Matthau or Walter Matthau? I never know how to say that. If you know, drop it in down below. Put me right. Yeah, Walter Matthau, or Walter Matthau. He's a playboy, philandering type figure who has inherited all his money from his father, and he's spending it at such a rate of knots that he's running out of dough, and he's had to have a loan from his uncle, who hates Walter Matthau, and I don't think he got along well with his dad when he was alive, and he's borrowed this cash off him to keep him going, under the proviso that he's going to have to get married to a rich woman within, I think it's 30 days, or he's got to pay his uncle back 10 times the money. So Matthau is then in search of a rich woman, and he's planning to marry her and kill her. And that's when he meets Elaine May's character in this, and she's such a delight. She's the most clumsiest person you've ever met in your life. She's always dropping things and having accidents, and sounds like somebody I know, James. And is not interested in her romantically, he's only interested in her money. So he coerces her into marrying him for the cash. And it goes in a direction you can imagine he's going to start having feelings for her. But it's such a great trip and genuinely funny comedy. Some of the one-liners in this, especially from Matto, he was such a witty, clever guy. Just brilliant. If you haven't seen that before, give that a watch. Unfortunately, I think it's heavily out of print, and it's going to cost you some dough for the Blu-ray. But I think there's a DVD, just so you can watch it, because brilliant film. And I think it's the only thing I've seen of Elaine May, so I need to get on more of her stuff, because she's just incredible in this. Yeah, really enjoyed that. And the film of the week for me, no doubt. Next up, and I also delved back into my Eureka Masters of Cinema collection, and I watched the only one on this 3-pack that I hadn't seen yet, College. Now, College was an interesting little story. It follows Buster Keaton. He's graduating from high school, so I'm not sure what age high school years are in America, but I'd gather it's like late teens and early 20s at the most. But I think Keaton looks about 30 at least in this, so he looked a bit out of place. He's a bookish type character, and he's graduated out of high school and going to college. Yeah, really bookish character, not an athletic bone in him. He's hopeless at sports and things like that. But unfortunately, the girl he likes, she's into the jock type characters, the sporty type characters. So Buster decides he's going to pull his non-sporting prowessness round, and he's going to become a sports star to impress the girl he likes. And it just goes through him doing all the different sports and being totally hopeless at all of them, but with really funny consequences. If you've seen Buster, you know, like, his deadpan approach to comedy, his physical comedy, and yeah, really good, funny stuff. Not as good as some of his more famous ones, I'd say, like Sherlock Jr. and the one on the train, which is name of it's gone straight out of my head, which is annoying me because it's a favourite film of me. No, it's gone. You're probably all screaming at me. But you know the one where he's on the train, he's throwing down the sleepers for the train and that. There's no big action pieces, like indeed when he's underneath the house and the house falls all around, and there's nothing like that on it. So it's slightly lacking in that department, but a decent watch. I enjoyed it, and I'd watch it again. Masters of Cinema, just brilliant for Buster. I think pretty much all of his stuff's on that collection. I need to have a swig of my Perky Blender's coffee. Next up are my favourite King Kong, 1933 King Kong, the classic one with Fay Ray as the damsel in distress, who I think she's brilliant in this as well. This is 91-year-old, and the effects still hold up for me. Brilliant stop motion, miniature work. The Skull Island itself looks brilliant, with some amazing big walls, and for 90-odd-year-old, like I say, incredible looking. Easily, I still think the best King Kong. And Fay Ray, my favourite damsel in distress in these type of films. You can tell this was shot a year before the Hays Code come into effect. I think that was 1934, where they could get away with a lot less. And you can tell this is pre-code because some of the stuff Ray was wearing in it, you can, especially with the advance of Blu-ray, you can see straight through them. There's no way they'd got away with that a year later or so. Yeah, really great stuff. Worth having in the premium collection. I picked that up for about £6. I was delighted to have got that. Fantastic. Excuse me, throat's going already. 11 minutes in. Next up, I'd watched on Neil's movie collection channel. Now, Neil's doing a series at the moment where he's going right through his DVDs. He's got an amazing collection and a wealth of knowledge on a lot of films that I've never heard of, and discovering new stuff through him all the time. So thanks for that, Neil. Anyway, Neil showed off in his S section his Shaft films, and I'd only ever seen the first one, the original Shaft. I'd not seen any of the two sequels, so I thought I'd give this a go. Shaft's Big Score, and this was a lot better than I thought it would be. I was under the wrong misconception that I love the first one and the second one would be sort of like cash cows on it, but no, this is a great standalone action crime thriller. This follows Shaft's character. His friend has been murdered in an explosion, and it turns out that his friend had been running a numbers racket. Now, I'd heard this term quite a lot in the past, a numbers racket, and didn't really know what it meant, so I googled it, and apparently it was common in Harlem in particular in the 70s for the African American gangster elements to run illegal lotteries, where they'd go around people's door collecting up the money, and a lottery basically, draw the numbers out, your numbers win, you're a winner. So yeah, the guy who's running it, his Shaft's friend, he gets murdered, and then you find out there's a rival African American gang from another part of the city, I believe, and the Italian mafia, they want in on the action, and they've sealed him off, and Shaft has to unravel all this and get to the bottom of it. And yeah, really good, interesting film that kept my attention the whole way through. And the last 20 minutes of this film was just brilliant, actually. It's involved a car chase with a helicopter, Shaft's being chased by a helicopter, and some of the piloting work on it, brilliant. They must have had some near misses when they were filming this, because they were flying so low and through objects and everything. Yeah, really good stuff. And the end fight again, really good. So Neil, thank you for bringing my attention to Shaft's Big Score. I've got the other one to watch, Shaft in Africa. I've got no idea which direction that's going to take. Well, maybe Africa. So yeah, thanks for bringing me that to me on my attention. I know that's directed, the third one, by one of your favourites, John Guillemin. So I'll get that watched and I'll let you know what I think post haste. And last up for the week was Brewsters with Millions. I'd never seen this before. I think it was in 1985, so I probably should have struck while the iron was hot at the time and watched it at the time, because I didn't like this. And I know this is one of James's favourite films, so he's probably shouting more on at me right now, and he's probably not wrong, but there you go. I just found this pretty dull. It's a comedy, and I don't think I laughed once, which for a comedy, that's a basic prerequisition, isn't it, to make you laugh at least once. So yeah, not one that I'll probably hang around in the collection too long. One to move on, maybe. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's everything I watched this week, guys. Brilliant week of watching, especially that A New Leaf goes zooming straight up as one of my favourites already. Really enjoyed that, and I'll be watching that time and time again. If, like I say, if I get a chance to watch that, watch it. It's delight, absolute delight. Thanks, guys. How long have we been going? 16 minutes. Sorry to take up so much of your day. Have a nice rest of your bank holiday weekend. You all be good, all behave, all watch movies. Over and out.